Hello, welcome to the Boss It podcast with Mark Edwards and Michael Humblett. This podcast is released every week and is an over-the-shoulder look of a frank and candid discussion between two experienced software executives, providing you with useful tips, techniques, and the latest concepts to help you grow your software business in the fast-paced digital age. So let's get into it. Here is Mark Edwards and Michael Humblett.
Michael, where are you?
Hey Mark, I'm sitting in Leuven, which is close to Belgium, and I am actually at a customer of mine, and I'm in this aquarium, the classic aquarium meeting rooms, and I'm watching a whole engineering team typing away, playing games, and it's fun to see. The energy is there.
Excellent.
Where are you?
I'm just sitting in my office. I've been very busy. I've been meeting lots of people. Been doing quite a bit of thinking because we're coming towards the end of the year, and that's always a good time to just bring your thoughts together and start thinking about next year.
Can I ask you a nasty public
Oh,
question?
you're going to try and nail me with a really tough one, aren't you? I can feel it coming. It's
No.
just because I took the mickey out of you when I went to Belgium.
Yeah, I will endlessly pursue this one, but I'm looking so forward to reading your book. Where is it? I know. We need it. We want it.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I've written the book, and it's sitting there. And the work that we've been doing recently, because we created this framework, and I was telling you this before, creating the framework around our service was initially to make our service more tangible to our clients. It made more sense when you're trying to explain it. The benefit was that it helped us in our thinking, and it helped us in our learning. And the reason that what that's done is this past 18 months, I think we've learned more than we did in probably the past 5 years. People come to us because they know that we've been around a long time in the software industry, working with hundreds of companies right the way across the globe. That's really beneficial.
I'm going to stop you there.
Go on then.
Because you're selling to me now. Where is the book?
No, I'm explaining to you. So what's happened is I've got all of these things that I want to add to the book because I'm thinking, oh, that should be in the book. That's great. That one should be in the book. And it's becoming like a never-ending story. So 2 weeks ago, I agreed that actually I'm going to write a second book. So I'm stopping. I'm not going to add anything more to the book. I've put a block on it. I'm not adding any more ideas. It's still very valid. It's very much focused around selling your business, the attitude you need to have to that, the issues around it, all of the sort of the myths and misconceptions. It's not so much on the building of the value within your business. So that's what I've decided to do, and I will announce on our next podcast when it's going to be out there. How about that? Is that a straight enough answer for you?
It's a good answer. I've also been busy writing, and I get the same every 6 months. I have a very big, large, disruptive shift in the way I think because we evolve with our customers and we get so much exposed, more than others, I can tell you, a lot more to what's going on. And I think you at a certain stage, you just basically need to say, okay, it stops here. I'm going to bring it out, or you will keep changing. It's like your website. I want to change my website every 6 months. Yeah. I have a brand new site. I'm very proud. And I'm thinking, you know what? I should change some stuff here and there.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's always you're wanting to change the website, this is a really. I've got to have a bit of a rant now because I'm really frustrated.
But I wanna say you will be judged upon what you produce. So I'm actually in favor. If you want some friendly advice, you've written the book. It's a good idea. It's a good concept. I would bring it out.
Yeah, no, I'm going to
move to the next one.
Yeah, no, I've that's already decided. I've been sort of not quite. I couldn't quite make up my mind. Should I add these new things? And then I've decided, no, I'm not going to add anything more to it. It's not going to be a big book. It's not going to be one of these sort of big tomes that's hard to get through. It introduces the idea is if you've got a business, you need to have an exit in place. The biggest, though it's called the biggest sale of your life, and that's where it's going to stop. The next book is going to be about all of those things that we've learned about building a software company.
Mark, I posted this very cool motivational, inspirational movie. You've seen it, huh? The Lake
I
of
have.
Rejection,
Yes.
and a lot of traction. LinkedIn, YouTube. I mean, it's going in every direction.
Yeah.
Very good. I have people. I was in a room. I played it, and I saw people getting goosebumps. And that for me was the reason to do it. I want to feel the emotion, right? One of the things that somebody actually, because I tagged some let's say some more famous people in that, some influencers, because that's the technique, and some of them actually responded, and there were a lot of people that actually all said there is one book they really thought is one of the best books they've ever read is How to Get to a No. And it means if you get a no, it's good, because no means you can transform it into yes. And I mean, so much people that actually reacted to that one single comment that I started looking up for the book. And the book actually is only 90 pages, 90.
Okay.
So it doesn't always need, so if some advice, purely marketing, we've talked about value ladders, about brand. One of the best advices, one of the best tricks you could do is that bring out one chapter.
Oh, I
Frame
can
it,
do that.
bring out one chapter,
Yes.
see what happens, make
Good idea.
it downloadable, free, put it there, and then if it actually gets a lot of traction, you know you need to do the rest of the stuff. Because I'm the same. I keep building, I keep making it better, perfecting at a certain stage. So now I'm basically just wrapping up one chapter, and I'm going to give it out there for free. Basically, guys, give me feedback. What do you think? And I think it's the same way. Instead of, like you said, building a product for 2 years, then trying to sell it, do the reverse, try to sell it, then build it, write the chapter, sell it.
Great
then write the
advice.
rest.
Great advice. I've written it down. I'm
Thank you, Mark.
going to do it.
Thank you. So that
Yeah.
bottle of champagne that you promised me is on its way, I suppose.
I'll order it now from eBay.
Thank you. Thank you.
eBay champagne.
So,
How do you
I
look
think
forward
we
to
should
that?
stop here. I'm all happy. I'm saturated. No, I actually got a question for you. Some serious question. So, I'm in a scale-up.
Okay.
There are about 70, 80 people. Technology company, pretty technical, doesn't really matter.
Yep.
And they're in a very tough period because they've grown very rapidly organically, just adding people. And now what typically happens when you get to the stage between 60 to 80 people is that you come from a very organic, chaotic world, and you need to flip to a very structured, more corporate approach because there's just too many people.
Yes.
The question is then, as a management team, and you're looking at this, what do you hire? Do you go for medium profiles or do you go for the senior profiles? Just want to have your opinion, because I've seen both approaches and I've seen it go really bad also, and good sometimes. So just wondering, what would you hire? Is there a specific advice?
What's the problem that they have, this organization?
The problem is that, let's say that every department is sitting on an island and all the leaders have never been leader before. They've organically suddenly got people, Peter's principle, the best guy got people and people and people, and suddenly one guy is running 20 people, but he's never managed teams properly. So there is no structure. It's still, if something goes wrong, the guy fixes it. Classic organic leadership. Goes wrong, let me fix it. So these people get burned. They are, you feel that they're good, but they're just not able to handle it, and it's limiting their scale. So they need to put in people to create structure.
Okay, so, well, funnily enough, we're publishing an article, and it's called 21 Successful Strategies and Techniques for Fast Growth Software Companies. And I'm looking on the list now. Number 5 is promote from within wherever possible. So that was a good question that you asked me. What I'd say to that is,
by the way, I don't always agree with promote from within. This phase for me, I would agree in 75%.
Let me finish. Let me finish. So it says,
I'm excited, Mark.
You're jumping
it. To my heart.
It says promote from within wherever possible. And the reason for that is that you want to use the talent that you have within your business, if at all possible. You need to promote those people. And there's a number of reasons for that, because you want to nurture loyalty in your company. And to do that, you need to show loyalty to your employees. So if they can see that you prefer to promote existing employees over always bringing people in, it gives them more hope and motivation. And I think it helps to get them to work harder instead of leaving to promote, to increase their career, to promote their career. Secondly, it reduces the time that is lost when you orientate somebody new into your company and your culture. An existing employee, although that may be a new role for them, they won't have to acclimatise themselves to working with a new organisation. And then thirdly, because it's nearly always more cost effective as there are no recruitment fees, and the sort of the time it takes them to actually get up and running is shortened. But it doesn't mean that is always the answer, because you just may not have that person internally within the company. The biggest problem I think is that as a company grows, which is one of my other points, is that what I see is that the leaders within the organization, they can't let go. They try and manage those 80 people in the same way that they manage the 10, and they don't put in place the provision. So if you've got potential leaders that can take a team, and now they're being responsible for 10, and you have another person who's responsible for 10, and maybe you need to bring in some people, then you have to do it. But if you do it, make sure you've got a proper hiring process with targets, and you know how to hire people to get really good people. That's point number 12 on my article, actually, is about having a targets for the people you're hiring, having a process, and then stick to it. But the biggest problem of all that I see with founders and software entrepreneurs is that they can't let go in order to grow. And as the business grows, you've got to let go of more, and you've got to know what your job is.
I fully agree. However,
I knew there was going to be a however.
However,
no, I don't like that idea, Michael. Yes. I don't agree.
No, hang on, Mark. We should do that.
Oh, sorry. I've got to listen to your idea first before I disagree, haven't I?
No, we should do this one. No.
Yes, that's right. No.
So the problem is, I'm sorry, it's funny. The problem is sometimes you need somebody that it's like they're watching their own. They can't escape. They're like, Ouroboros, the dragon that eats its own dragon, tail. The dragon that eats its own tail.
Say that again.
They can't spin around.
What was the
dragon
called?
You need to add somebody that has done it before, that knows how to break the barriers, that knows how to put some structure in this case. The problem they have is that, so what did they do? Typically what you do is they look at the world and they say, I'm sure I'm going to hire an expert. So I'm going to go to Microsoft, Google, I'm going to steal one of these guys, Oracle, wherever. And what you happen is then you bring somebody that's been doing this for 10 years in a highly structured environment, which Google, Microsoft, Oracle, they are highly overstructured environments, and you bring him into a massive chaotic environment. And these people, very rarely for me, they can stand up the challenge. They can't try to fix everything, and they can't cope. They've never done this. So my advice to lots of these companies is not go find you the hotshot. You can do it as an executive, that could work. But from a more operational point, you need somebody that's medium level, that's not been infected all the way, but that can bring structure along, semi-structure. So not the full-blown structure, because it's never going to work. Yes. You see what I mean? So I'm not in favor of hiring really senior. I'm in favor of hiring medium type of profiles that have experience, and then getting some external coaching, especially like putting in an advisory board and getting some of these really senior guys more as a coach than to have them operational, because operational, they are not, in all honesty, able to do this phase. They need to come later.
That's really annoying, because
I know.
I can't disagree with you on that. I didn't understand what you meant by medium. I thought you meant medium quality, not top quality. What you're saying is somebody who's used to working in that more chaotic environment rather than working for a Microsoft or an IBM. I have to agree with you.
Translating my words back to native English.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. That's really annoying. Say something else that I can disagree with.
Well, I only had one question mark today. It was the major one, and basically I asked you the question to tell you my opinion.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I've had a couple of questions.
Okay, go.
Somebody asked a couple of questions which they wanted us to discuss on the podcast. And it was a couple of people that I met. And the first one is from Steve Brown. This is a good question. What do you see as being the next big trend?
In
Oh,
what?
technology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Of course, we can go all the classics like the VRs and the cloud computing and the CPU service models like the AWS of Amazon that just gonna scale in many, many different formats. Purely technology. That's some of the things that I'm looking into. I'm actually not looking into anything that's blockchain or anything because I think it's less of interest for now. It's a good one. You took me by surprise, Mark. I have
know.
to think. What would you say?
Bit unfair because I just threw that one at you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Blind. I've had a little bit of a think about this. I think there's a few things I believe that are happening. One that's very obvious is that technology is coming together. It's like a network of technology. And this is something that I've seen in many different industries. When the industry is new, you have much more of a segmented technology, people offering parts of the solution. And as there is a maturing of that sector, these parts come together and create a bigger whole. So if you think of that with software, there were, when I first started in software, there were specialists in the area of capture, and not just capture, specific aspects of information capture. And then some of the bigger players started to integrate that. They made some acquisitions, and it comes together. And I think where eventually we will get to is that there will be B2B business software, and it will be software that can help you run your business, and it will help you in all areas.
That will have an interface like a B2C.
Yes, more B2C, because I think B2C are more advanced in the interface. I think one of the other things that we're going to see, we're going to see, this thing about artificial intelligence, although I think people are they're seeing the power of it, but they're using it in their marketing as a way to give them an advantage in the market, and I don't think it's working. It definitely won't work long term. Technology is always going to advance, and I think that so the technologies are coming together. We will have solutions, B2B solutions for running your business that will do far more. Most important, though, I think that what we're going to see and where the battleground's going to be is in the interface and the customer engagement. Because currently, software tech, guys, you're really bad at it. You stink at it. Awful. And they think that they're pretty good, and they're not. Terrible.
Yeah, I think the real AI kind of applications, and sometimes you meet the real AI applications, will actually help you to be more human, as in to let you do the human part of the job, which is the true decisions.
I think it's
going to be more supportive.
It's machine learning. I don't believe that there is artificial intelligence out there at the moment. There's not machines that are actually thinking like a human thinks. It's machine learning. It's looking at patterns.
Can I quickly comment back on your first point? I think when you took me by surprise, because I should have framed the question better. What do you mean with where it's tech? But I agree that there are no longer monolithical solutions. To use a very nice UK word, there are no longer monolithical solutions. So what you see is a trend, and you see that in a lot of startups and scale-ups, is they have multiple tools and they all glue them together with things like Zapier and all of these. And if you've never heard of Zapier, written Zapier, you should definitely check it out. There are a few alternatives. What you can do is you basically glue it all together, and you get the best of breed. And I see that it's just because there are so many SaaS, there are so many niches filled up. For everything, there's a little tool, and you kind of combine them. So I agree on your point. agree on your point.
I think so. It's the
For once.
the technology is coming together. I think that the other thing that I'm seeing is within the software sector, and it's less about the technology, is that there's a changing of the guard. So what I mean by that is that I think that there is a whole group of software executives that have been in this industry working in larger organizations for quite some time. And I wouldn't categorize them by age, but I would by their attitude or their flexibility of thinking. And actually, they don't like the world of the mobile. They don't like the fact that people interact with their mobile more than they do each other. And
The whole social aspect, the whole
Yeah.
social media aspect, where you need to change your marketing in a more volatile, everyday building.
Then they've probably got teenage children, and they have a go at their children about how much time they're spending on their mobile, on their iPad. And if you talk to them about some of the social media platforms, they'll groan and they'll roll their eyes. And guys, you're never going to put the clock back. We're not going to go less technology, less mobile. Mobile's going to dominate. And you look at those organizations that we were talking about a lot, say 10 years ago. The big companies within each of the various software sectors, and we're not talking about them as much anymore. And it's the newer, faster, more reactive software companies that are getting the limelight, and they're growing faster. I mean, we've been doing this study looking at the fast growth companies, and it just changed my whole thinking about it. And I think it ultimately comes down to those senior executives who dictate the strategy for the businesses, and they're just not there. They're not where it's really happening. And I'm not saying this is not an ageist thing. This is not an ageist, because I think I've come across guys in their 60s that they like to learn. They like the fact that the world has changed and they're moving with it.
I have to say, Mark, you impress me, because I think it's something I felt, but I couldn't formulate properly. And you know how the smart people deal with that, actually, because I've seen a lot of those people. You either have the people fighting you, but you know it's going to go wrong. And then there are other people that actually are, even in their 60s, what they do is they start investing in startups, or they actually start to teach startups, and that way they get the new modern information back. So that would be my advice. Go to an incubator and say, I want to teach in a topic that I know really well. I want to help, and do it for free, because that's the whole point, paying it forward. Do it for free. And you will be amazed with the feedback and the way how things have moved, and seeing it live, and seeing also the naivete of some of these people, where you say, guys, do it that way. But in the meantime, you learn so much and you get energy. I mean, I get so much energy with these guys. You're not making money on them, but you get all the energy. So you have to balance it within your business. But I fully agree.
Yes, I know
Mark,
you mean.
I think you should write an whole article about this. I mean, you've just nailed it.
I might do.
I'm jealous. I wish I had that idea.
I'll write it. I'll write this down. I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this down in my diary. Actually, Michael agrees with me, and he actually said he liked the idea. And it's on the 18th of December. I tell you what, I've got a moan. There might be somebody out there that can help me. This is really irritating. We have a website, but we have to change. When we're one of the greatest
I agree, Mark.
One of the greatest opportunities when you work with a client, it's so much easier to advise a client than it is to look at your own business. But quite often when you get into that mindset and you're looking at something very specific, you can quickly turn around and look at your own business, and you can see things in a new way. And I'm thinking, wow, we've got to change this. We've got to change that on our website. We've got to change the way that we articulate it. We've got to change the wording. We use Drupal. Now, if there's anybody out there is a Drupal expert, come and have a chat with me, because I hate Drupal. We need a content management system for our website, because we have so much content there, enormous amount. It goes back years and years, and we're always adding to it. But every now and again, they come back to me and they say, "Oh, there's an update. Drupal are updating," and you can't just update it. We have to go through this big process, and if you don't update, you're going to be with a security issue. But if you do, we're going to send you a big
So
bill.
most people go WordPress, or they
Yeah.
really go fully customized.
Exactly.
That's hard to manage, the fully customized one.
Yeah, and this is never
Then-
explained to you, and this is the second time, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be pushed into that corner. So I would like to know, anybody out there got a really good answer? So we've got a Drupal site, loads and loads of pages, really big site, and we're being told by our Drupal website people that we need to go and pay them a lot of money to upgrade it to the latest version. How many other software companies could get away with that?
It feels like a lock-in mechanism, Mark.
It does. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. So
And we don't like that. Eh? We all love the Netflix model. You pay for what you do, and if you want to get away, you're free to go.
that's the way the market's going, isn't it? And I think that they're
Yeah.
trying to buck the trend. I think that the more people get that in other areas of their life, the less likely they'll be to put up with it. And I'm saying I'm not going to put up with it. So that's me having a moan.
Right, good.
I've got another
platform here.
I've got another question. My other question. This was at the same session actually. It was from Travis. And he was asking about terminology that's used within the industry, and when there's very specific words that are used that may only be known to that industry. We've discussed this in a way before, but what examples can you think about, and what are your thoughts about specific terminology that's known to a small subsector?
So if you ask me from a pure sales, I'll give you two visions.
Yep.
Purely sales, don't overdo it. That's number one. Two, you do need to mention them in the right context because it makes you an expert and people trust experts. But if you keep throwing all these funky words, after a while, nobody has a clue what you're talking about and you completely go by. That's purely sales. If I go to marketing, I sometimes, with companies, invent new words because you can claim territory. You can actually purely SEO. You can
make it yours.
Make it yours.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. It's like the movie, for instance. I have the lake of rejection in sales. It's not a technical word, but it's. I mean, the concept. Almost nobody's using it. So I basically, if you start looking for the lake of rejection, you're gonna find Michael, or you're gonna find the company, which I would recommend if we do the value ladder exercise. I do this exercise of can we find words or can we find some of this terminology by adding a word or by contextualizing it a little bit better, we can actually claim territory. And I really, really like that approach.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We do that ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, in our
the unicorn. Exactly.
We've got the Unisys. We've got competitive space, which we use a lot, and we've also got within competitive space our iceberg model. And also I talk about punctum, which is about where's the sexy bit within your offering, within your software. What's something that stands out, and that's something that I think a lot of software companies could really benefit from, finding their punctum.
The thing I learned, Mark, was when I mean you went through the same journey. We just started producing movies and content, and then I learned after a while, like something really stupid, that the title is extremely important because it's like the sales pitch. It's the first thing. So then I started looking into really cool titles, and then still I was struggling, and then I figured out you need to make material that people are actually looking for, which is something I really had to learn. So now even I have a movie, I sometimes will optimize the title in such a way that I know people are going to be intrigued and they're actually looking for it. You see?
Yes.
But it doesn't always mean that I've made the movie for the title. You can kind of mix and match there. That's another trick I learned. So, I mean, if you, I mean, our listeners, if you listen carefully to what I said, look back at your titles, optimize them. One of the things I see a lot is when I go through marketing material, and I do it every day, and I look at purely sales presentation, in many cases, when they do this terminology, I always say, please add 1 or 2 words so you contextualize it better. So for instance,
Yes.
instead of saying, I'm going to accelerate your business, which everybody's saying, is add a word. I'm going to accelerate your business in, see, just
Yes.
nail it, nail the vertical, nail the niche, nail it so somebody understands you're talking about him. So just don't say generic stuff, terminology. Always add 1 or 2 things. And then the other thing, to wrap up the story around this terminology and all that, one of the key things that I say every day to people is then when they come to me and they say, oh, I've created a mini guide, I've created a white paper, I've created a post, whatever you do, I always say the post is not attractive for the simple reason that you have to start with the end. You keep saying that. You have to start with the end in mind. So the conclusion of your whole article should almost be your title. So flip it around. Look back at the stuff you've made. Flip it around, and you're going to see it will have 10 times more traction. And it's on everything. It's on CTAs, it's on content, it's on movies, everything. Start with that end because it's going to be way more attractive.
Some really good points in there, Michael. And I think regarding terminology, I agree with you 100% about using words that are specific to something that you offer that is unique to you. I think that I would qualify that, though, to say that you have to be able to reach the audience and create an audience, because if you're sitting in a vacuum creating words, it won't do anything for you. Because you're not reaching anyone. No one's going to be searching for it. It doesn't mean anything. But I also would say to a lot of software companies, I think they are all being conned to a certain extent by a lot of the analysts out there that are creating terms. They know how to do the marketing. They're doing this when creating these unique terms and phrases, but then they're getting their own clients to go out and promote them. That brings the benefit back to them, back to the analysts. I see that happening so often. I think it's very smart marketing, and maybe those clients, those software companies, don't mind doing that because there is a general momentum with a subsector within the software arena where it does create a bit of a blip in Google Trends. Because I always look on Google Trends, they come out with these phrases. Go and do a search to see truly how popular that word is, because I think the other thing that can be very it can very much fool you is you can be sitting in an environment where you've got around you like-minded people doing very similar things to you, and you're using these words and terms on a day-to-day basis, and from your perspective of sitting in your seat, the whole world's talking about it, but actually it's just the people in your room. And you step outside that and it's not. And I get people doing that. I've heard so many acronyms and phrases over the years, being in the software industry a long time, is sometimes even the ones that I've known for many, many years, I hadn't heard it for maybe 18 months, and you're thinking, oh, wait, hang on a minute, what does that one mean again? And it can be, you're trying to remember what it stands for while the conversation is continuing. So I think a little bit like when you're writing an article, the first time you mention, if you really, really feel you have to use an acronym, bearing in mind it's only going to save you 2 seconds. Is time that valuable to you that you can't actually say it? But if you are going to say it, then explain it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And do it when you're speaking as well. Don't assume. I've seen people that you would assume understand what you're thinking about, and you've lost them.
So
assume they don't.
I went to Google Trends and I typed in my name, and not enough data. I typed in your name just to annoy you, and scaringly, you are on there.
Yes.
Do you know,
I've never done that.
Did you pay them? What did you do?
No, I didn't.
Oh, but it's not you. It's American football.
Did you not know that was my previous career before I entered the software industry? Oh, Michael, come on! I should have told you more about that.
And so
no, you have to do Google Trends. You have to have a lot of hits, I think, to even move it. But some of the phrases that we've heard a lot in recent years, go and have a look at them. I mean, come on, guys. It's crazy. We are now at 34 minutes, and we've been all over the place in our discussion today.
As usual, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Good to speak.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.